We all know that Nintendo's pricing Switch 2 at $450, and most of us can agree that it's insanely expensive than what an average Joe can afford. Am I right? Or am I correct? And if you know me, I made multiple videos calling out Nintendo because of how expensive this shit is. Plus, there are other anti-consumer practices which we will not explore in this video. We'll only focus on the pricing, and unfortunately, Nintendo Shields attacked me for calling this shit out. And I even explained the whys on my videos, and the Shields are still blindly bootlegging Nintendo like their lives depend on it. I was like, this is insanity. Okay, but to be fair, we as a human being can have a confirmation bias, especially for things that we are very passionate about. You know, I myself is guilty of it, hence a thought synced in my two brain cells and I was like, damn, this might be interesting to see. And yes, it's in the title of this video. We're gonna ask AIs to analyze whether Switch 2 pricing at $450 is fair or way too expensive. And here's what happened. But before we continue, please spare me some likes as it helps the channel moving forward. It would really help me a lot if you do. And also subscribe while you're at it. Anyway, out of all the AIs, we will use chat AIs because we need text. We need text that can be understood by non-programmer individuals. Hence, I looked up for the top 5 chat AIs out there and decided to ask them straight up. First, we will ask the most popular one, ChatGPT. So going into this, I decided to ask one simple question, which is Nintendo Switch 2 pricing fair or way too expensive? And unfortunately, ChatGPT didn't really answer us directly. It gave us a vague answer that, you know, it can be expensive and can also be fair depending on some factors. Basically, a safe answer. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is not what I want. So we asked the question again and added that it only choose one. And here's the result. ChatGPT says the Nintendo Switch 2 is way too expensive. If the rumors of a $399 to $449 price tag are true, you're essentially paying next-gen money for last-gen performance. Nintendo might slap on a few upgrades and call it innovation, but when a PS5 or Xbox Series X gives you way more power for the same price or less during sales, it's hard to justify. Especially when you know Nintendo will still charge $60 for a decade-old Wii U port. Okay, we're on to something here. That's ChatGPT's answer. What do you guys think? Next, let's ask Gemini with the same question. There we go. It actually gave us a quite detailed answer. So let's read. Based on the information available, because I assume that Gemini also searches online, the pricing of the Nintendo Switch 2 appears to be way too expensive for many consumers. Here's why. Higher base price. The Nintendo Switch 2 launched on June 5, 2025 at a standalone price of $449.99 This is significantly higher than the original Nintendo Switch, which launched at $300 in 2017. Even when accounting for inflation, the Switch 2 is still more expensive. Expensive games. The price of new exclusive games for the Switch 2 is set at $79.99 for Mario Kart World and $69.99 for Donkey Kong Bonanza. This $80 price point for a standard edition game is a significant jump from the $60 or $70 norm seen on other consoles and has caused considerable backlash from fans, including me myself. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like this. Is the one thing that I really hate, them raising the game's prices to $80. Anyways, upgraded versions of existing Switch games like The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom are also priced at $80. So what they're trying to say here is old games are basically still priced like a brand new one. Cost of accessories. Additional Joy-Con 2 controllers are priced at $94.99 per pair, and the Pro controller costs $84.99. These prices further increase the overall cost of the system, especially for those wanting to play multiplayer games. That is actually true. I even mentioned this in my previous video that accessories are also expensive. Even the camera. The camera is insanely expensive considering how hideous and ugly it looks. Comparison to competitors, the Nintendo Switch 2's price point is similar to or even higher than the entry-level current generation consoles from PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, despite the Switch 2 not necessarily matching their raw graphical power. Same sentiment, bro. Them pricing Switch 2 at $450 is basically at the same price point of PlayStation and Xbox. Like, unless Sony and Xbox raises their price as well, which probably they will, Switch 2's pricing doesn't make any sense. Value proposition concerns: while the Switch 2 offers enhanced features like a larger, higher resolution screen, better performance, and new functionalities like mouse control with Joy-Con to controllers, some argue that the steep price for the console and games doesn't represent a fair value, especially considering the increased cost of gaming as a whole. Exactly fucking right. And even if you look at where they try to showcase the upgrade in visual quality, there's barely improvement. If you have a blurry eyes, you won't notice anything. You know what I mean? Does it really justify the $450 cost? I don't think so, man. While some argue that the increased price reflects the improved technology and the fact that Nintendo games tend to hold their value over time, the initial reaction from many consumers indicates that the pricing is perceived as too high. Goddamn right. The $80 price tag for flagship games in particular is a significant point of contention. I don't know, man. I feel like Gemini just watched my videos. This is literally the same exact opinion and sentiment that I have. Anyways, moving forward, let's view Perplexity. So, same question I ask, and here's its answer. Oh, interesting. A different one. The Nintendo Switch 2 pricing is fair. While $449.99 US is the highest launch price for a Nintendo console, industry analysts and comparisons to current market alternatives like the $700 PlayStation 5 Pro and $550 plus portable PCs suggest that Switch 2's price is reasonable given its upgraded hardware, features, and the broader inflationary environment. Okay, I get it. Basically, Perplexity is just basing on the price point of different consoles across the board, like from Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox, and even the PC. So I guess this is actually a good argument from the shills, or the one supporting the price point of Switch 2. But I can easily debate and argue this by saying that you can't just justify the whole $450 by just comparing the price point of different consoles. There's some nuances behind it. And I think Gemini did a way better evaluation because of how detailed it answered our question. Just look at this. Okay, Copilot Microsoft. Microsoft's Copilot AI. So same question. Is Nintendo Switch 2 pricing fair or way too expensive? Only choose one. Here's its answer. It's quick and straightforward. Way too expensive. The Nintendo Switch 2 is launching at $449.99, making it the most expensive Nintendo console ever. Even when adjusted for inflation, some first-party games like Mario Kart World will cost $79.99, breaking the upper limit of premium console game pricing. Inflation, tariffs, and rising production costs are all contributing factors. Would you still consider buying it despite the price? I love how Copilot asks us whether we're still considering buying it. No, bro. So far, all of the AIs we asked got some pretty convincing arguments here and there. I tried asking Claude AI in ChatSonic because it's in the list of the top AIs out there. But unfortunately, free version of Claude can't seem to search information online, so it cannot answer a question properly. And ChatSonic, on the other hand, isn't available on my country, so yeah, but we still got an alternative, which is Grok AI, the Twitter's or the X AI. I think it's pretty decent enough if you're just gonna ask it one-liner or so. Again, same shit to ask. Is Nintendo Switch 2 pricing fair or way too expensive, Grok? Only choose one. Look, 3 words is all it needed. Man, Grok doesn't talk a lot. God damn. Look. Look how straightforward this is. Way too expensive. That's it. Mic drop. No need to explain. That was so funny, man. I love how the other AIs are just telling us and trying to convince us that their answer is correct. And here comes Grok, just literally says, way too expensive. Period. So yeah, there you have it, folks. The results are here. We got every AIs or top AIs except Perplexity picking the way to expensive answer. Perplexity got some good argument going on, but it's easily debatable because there's some nuances behind the pricing. So yeah, I guess we take this dub. I guess we are correct. Take that, shills. Anyway, AI can still make mistakes, so take this with a grain of salt, everyone. But then again, just think about this. When it comes to logical reasoning without any emotional influence, I think AI surely beats us all on this one. And all of their arguments, even Perplexity who disagrees with us, kind of makes sense in my humble opinion. Those are answers of not being influenced by their confirmation bias and whatever. Basically human emotions. It's quite interesting to see or read in this context. Going back to the point, 450 is just way too expensive, even with all that tariffs, inflation, and other BS to consider. So what do you guys think? The AIs have spoken. Do you agree with them or not? Write down your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. Yeah, that's about it from me. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If you don't like it, leave a dislike. It's all good. See you next time. Have a great day ahead. Goodbye. Peace.